Yay! Welcome everybody to the HeartStream Musings podcast. I'm so excited that you are here. I feel like this has been a long-awaited episode with my special guest, Shaleahia Hennix. We have been trying to get together to do a podcast for a while. I would say 9 months, even before I had a podcast out.
Yeah.
But Shaleahia is and I'm going to read her bio because it's so sexy and let's get into it.
Yeah.
So Shaleahia is the dream life architect and ideal self-stylist for women who want to live an uncompromising and unconventionally charmed life. I feel like I just need that to sink into my body.
So good.
So good. She is a self-proclaimed sorceress and Renaissance woman, adept at paving her own lane and weaving magic into the mundane. She's here to help highly creative and highly ambitious souls become the highest version of themselves, providing us with the strategies and frameworks necessary to embrace, embody, and express our innermost divine essence. Oh my God. That just speaks to my soul. My Mercury is in Cancer. And so when someone uses those words and communicates, it's like it ignites something in my heart. And so I just love all of that. Love it.
I'm happy to hear it. Yeah, it's real poetic. That's how I like to speak. I'm Mercury in Virgo. And so I'm all about like attention to detail and like, how can I switch this word around here? Yeah. And just to let things flow and to feel like the truest way that I like to speak.
Oh, good. So you must be really good wordsmither then.
Yeah, I like to play with language. It's like a fun it's a fun thing for me. I like acronyms, alliterations. I like just playing with words. I like things that rhyme. It just makes things more fun for me.
Oh my God, I love it. And fun fact, Shaleahia and I actually met each other through this community. We met each other through holisticism.
Yeah.
And it's this online community of people that do business and mixture of mysticism. But Shaleahia and I connected over the magic of inner child work. And before we dive into that, though, I'm so curious, and I'm sure other people are very curious too, of just like, how did you even get to this point of defining yourself as like a sorceress and like Renaissance woman? Yeah.
I like to consider myself like a big ass cat. Like that's what I say. It's basically like I've had 9 lives and I probably have 9 more. Like I've been a makeup artist, I've been a sex worker, I've been a brand strategist and designer, and now I'm working more so in like the spirituality realm and life design and stuff like that. And so
Wow.
yeah, it's really basically a Renaissance woman is the ethos of being someone whose life is consistently under construction. Like I'm consistently renovating or reinventing who I am and how I define myself, how I show up in the world, things that light me up, and how I want to embody those and express them out in the world.
Wow. Wow. I love that. I feel like you have had many lives.
Yeah.
I was just like,
Yeah.
what? You're a makeup artist? Wait, so
Yeah.
then how did you get to like makeup artistry and then sex worker and oh my gosh, and then now spirituality?
Yeah.
Like how do you connect the dots in
Yeah.
retrospect, right?
Yeah. So I think when I think about all of the jobs that I've had, the thread becomes like being able to create the space for people to be their truest best selves. So like when I was a makeup artist, I was doing that in a very physical sense, helping people's inner essence to shine on their face. When I was a sex worker, it was about creating the environment and like on a date or on a trip or somewhere, creating that environment that allowed these customers or the clients who felt like they couldn't be their truest fullest selves in their maybe like their everyday lives, their vanilla lives, allow those parts of them to come out in my company. And then it's the same thing like with brand design and spirituality. It's really just all about me holding the space for you to be whoever it is that you want to be in this moment and helping you with the tools to make that real.
Oh my God, I love that. And I love that you were able to like pinpoint exactly. It's like whatever medium, whatever structure, whatever format, it was always about eliciting and invoking like the highest truth, right? Like even reading your bio, it was like the highest evolution of who you are.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious, what was that journey like for you personally of evoking your
Uh-huh.
highest self, and like
Yeah.
where there's situations where you weren't, and it's like
Yeah.
being the mastery of like your own inner realm and being able to help evoke that in others as well, that sort of symmetry.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm definitely still on it. I'm definitely still on it. It's a work in progress, but it really is just like the beauty of the most like rewarding thing to do, but also a really messy and confusing thing to do to show up in the world in alignment with who you really are. Especially because I like to talk about cosmos a lot. So I have a lot of mutable energy in my chart, but also have a lot of fixed energy. So that means I'm either always changing and always evolving who I am, or once I find something, I'm just like stuck to it. And I'm just like dead set on like, this is who I am. And
Oh.
I've heard of this concept from Nest Labs called the self-consistency fallacy. And it's
Mm.
basically when you want to change your life, but you have trouble doing that because you are marrying yourself to the identity that you've always had. Because I've always done it this way, this is who I am, or because I spent 2 years doing makeup, what else am I going to do? How can I just switch into this new thing? And I think it's really about giving yourself the grace and giving yourself the permission to change and to change your mind and to switch up. Me personally, because you've asked about my like ever in the shadow and everything. It's like this year in particular was like a really big one for me. I'm starting the phase of my Saturn return. So like AKA, yeah,
Ooh.
she's becoming an adult. Like I'm becoming a real person in the world. And so Saturn though, it right now is in opposition to my fourth house. So the fourth house is the house of like inner child wounds, especially because I have Chiron there. So it's like the house of inner child healing, your roots, where you came from, your ancestry, stuff like that. And so this year I really came up against the growth edges, I would say, of like my light worker, the part of me that wants to continue creating and that wants to do good in the world. And then I like to consider like my shadow dweller, which is like the part of me that's I don't feel like doing anything today. I don't want to work. Like I know I'm a generator and I'm quote unquote supposed to work. That's what I was built to do. But I got to this point with this year where I'm just like, I actually would just want to go on vacation. I just want to lay around and chill out and not help the world for a second. And I think it's really just allowing myself that grace when I'm coming up against these different parts of myself and really getting curious about what it is they want to tell me and like where we want to go next from there.
Ooh, that really resonates with what you express about the Nest Labs, right? It's
Mhm.
like the
Yes.
fixed and mutable,
Yes.
and learning to work with both of just, okay, I want to rest. I don't want to be a light worker.
Yeah.
Can I just
I just,
pause?
I just want to exist right now. Can I just do that for a second? Yeah.
Oh my
Love
goodness.
it.
And so as you are like working on your like parts of like deconstruction and
Mhm.
invention, how does that show up in the work that you do with people? What
Ooh.
does that even look like? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So actually, yeah, I want to continue on that story because what I forgot to mention. So my fourth house is in Virgo.
Uh-huh.
And so that we have that opposition of Saturn, which is about like restrictions and maturing, growing up and all that, opposing Virgo, like the sign of perfection and attention to details and everything. So this year I launched two courses, like passive income
Ooh.
projects. Yeah, I remember we had connected about the idea of being a generator and learning how to respond to not only what the external world is giving us, but also responding to our own like intuitive downloads, right?
Yes.
And so this project in particular was me responding to like the outside world. I had an opportunity to grow my list, and I did. I multiplied it by 5 by joining this like giveaway, and I was like, okay, so this is what we're doing. This is it's time for things to take off. Like this is it. And then when I actually started doing the work, though, I started
Mm-hmm.
realizing like I like this in idea, like I like it as an idea, but the work itself is not for me. Like the idea of just teaching these concepts and talking to a camera, talking to a screen, and I need that like human connection aspect of it.
Oh, so it was like a one-to-many module, but then you
Yes,
weren't like,
right.
oh, so then what did
Yeah.
that teach you about like
It
your
didn't,
facilitation
yeah.
style? Yeah.
It didn't feel good because I don't know, it felt
Wow.
exactly like I think you just used the perfect word, presentation. Like it felt like I was putting on a show, I was presenting, like I wasn't able to just have a conversation and talk to the people who I want to help. I was just talking to my camera and imagining somebody on the other side of the world. I have customers in like Spain and like the UK, and so I'm like imagining these people in the world, but it didn't feel real to me. It didn't like really sit with my soul. And
Oh.
so yeah, basically coming back to the idea of like perfectionism and Saturn and everything, I had to give myself permission to fuck up, really. I had to give myself permission to say, I know that I promised this to all of these people, and I know that I said this is what I was going to do, but I'm doing the work right now. I'm in it, and it doesn't feel good. I can't force myself to continue
Wow.
to
So
go
did you
further.
pivot in like the
Yeah.
middle of
Yeah. Like literally as
what?
soon as
Yeah. What were like
as
the
soon
feelings, the emotions? Like, how did
Mhm.
you walk yourself through that? Uh-huh.
Yeah, my school was open, I wanna say for maybe 2 to 3 weeks. Literally, like, I launched the program, I did finish it because that was something that I was working on myself with my self-development journey. I'm like, "We just have to finish it. We're just gonna do it just to prove to ourselves that we can do it."
Ooh.
So I finished the project itself, I launched it, I enrolled all of these students, and then when it came to the day-to-day, like, maintaining of it, and then I realized, I'm like, "I don't really wanna go to the next module." And so I think that was a part of the work where I realized that it's not so black and white. Are you giving up on your dreams? Or are you doing this just because you're deciding to change your mind? It's no, like I've already proven to myself that I can commit to an idea, that I can fully bring an idea into fruition. And also at the same time, I now need to talk to that part of me, my inner child, my inner artist, and talk to that part of me who wants to do something else, who wants to have more fun, who wants to have more connection. And yeah, and just allowing myself to change, like we were talking about earlier when you asked me about all of my different past lives and all of my different jobs, allowing myself to shift the medium of the work that I was doing, like keep the core message. And I think that's something really important when it comes to changing your life and reinventing yourself, is allowing yourself to stick to that core essence of who you are and what you want and what you envision for your life, but not getting tied down to like the 3D physical, like how it's showing up in the world, like what the vehicle actually is. And so just it was a lot of working through shadow fears. And are you into like part psychology at all?
Okay, so
Yeah.
what's interesting is that I'm working with a new therapist and we're getting into IFS, so
Yeah.
internal family systems. I was okay, so I haven't had a new therapist since 2016. So this is
Okay.
a new
Yeah.
journey for me. I'm a little tender about it. But she was like, "Oh, you should read this book. I think it's like by Tom Holmes, The Illustrated
Okay.
Parts." So I have homework, but I haven't
Right.
like dove into understanding what are my parts and how does it
Yes.
show up through this
Yeah.
like framework. But would love to
Yeah.
hear like your
Yeah.
insights and how it has impacted you.
So I'm not, I literally just got into it too. It's something that was floating in my ether for a while, continued to come up, and I was like, okay, yeah, that's nice. Like I'll check it out later. But it finally got to this point this year where like through my work, I was doing all of this shadow work, and I kept realizing that I was saying in my head, like, a part of me wants to do this, but a part of me wants to do that. Like, a part of me wants to build this amazing business, but a part of me wants to just like, take the month off and chill. A part of me wants to do something that's like spiritual and like can help people change their lives. But then a part of me also just wants to have fun with like beauty and making things pretty. And so once I kept realizing that, I kept saying like a part of me, I was like, okay, let me just read the damn book. Like, let me just get into, let me just get into the part psychology and let me learn about it. But even before then, I was just realizing like you have like your inner child, and then you also have your inner parent or inner adult, right? You
Mhm.
have your heart and your head, you have your ego and your soul. And this year in particular, for me, I was realizing that the pieces that were like at war right now were the like Shaleahia the CEO and Shaleahia the artist.
And so it seemed like there was a lot of duality in your life.
Yeah.
And so,
Ooh,
yeah. So
yeah.
maybe it's like trying to look at how did you learn to come to a compromise for
Yes.
yourself of reckoning, no, this is my truth, and how do you make it work for you?
Ooh, yeah. So, like, a lot of the pieces in my life deal with duality. Like I told you earlier, I have a lot of mutable energy, but I also have a lot of fixed energy, which they're basically complete opposites.
Mhm.
And I have masculine, feminine, all of that. And so, I think a part of that was, I heard this quote somewhere that was like, in order to live life to the fullest, you have to be able to see the whole picture. Like you have to be able to see the full picture. And
Mm.
so me trying to choose between the spiritual side of me and like the artistic side of me, of course it was creating inner turmoil and it wasn't harmonious, because the point is I'm not supposed to choose. Like I'm not supposed to choose between which part of me wants to be seen. The healthiest way for me to exist in life is for me to allow all of those parts and pieces of me a seat at the table, like making sure that they all are accounted for. So like my inner child, what do you want to do? I want to do something fun and crazy and wild. And okay, the inner parent comes in with the strategy. How do we make it make sense? And how do we like create a structure around it and make sense of that? And yeah, it's a lot of mind, body, spirit, like embodiment practices, really just like imagining those parts and pieces of me in harmony. Like, what would that life look like? I've already seen what it looks like when I choose the artistic route. I've already seen what it looks like when I respond to things just because the outside world wants me to do it. So what would it look like if I could have my cake and eat it too, basically, if I can do all of those things at once? Yeah.
Oh, and so how did that show up? So then your inner child was like, this isn't resonating with me doing this course. And then maybe, I don't know, maybe your business side was just like, but girl, we promised all this stuff. Like we have to get it done. People are like,
Yeah.
So how did you allow for both of those parts for you to come together, and what did the harmonious solution look like?
Yeah. I think aside from being awareness is always going to be the first step, because that's how you take your power back. If things are just floating around and you don't know what's going on, then you're going to feel like you're going crazy or your life is a mess. So the awareness is the first part, but then the second part is just acceptance and also being honest with yourself. So I had to look at it and realize that, oh yes, this is what we were talking about earlier. Like everything isn't so black and white, right? I had to realize that I had this level of success that I wanted for so long. Like my email list exploded. That's what everybody says you need to do, grow your email list. And so I had to be honest with myself, like, yes, that did happen. And that was great. And that was really cool that I proved to myself that I can do that. But the artist in me, the inner child, like that part of me that wanted to just feel free, it wasn't able to do that in that container. And so I just really started thinking about how like different vehicles and different methods of how I could do that. So I changed my business model completely. So now I'm doing one-to-one work and I'm also putting together like a group program, just because I'm like, it's like really fun to work on yourself, and nobody else can really change your life for you but you. And also at the same time, this like self-development journey, it gets a little lonely sometimes. So I'm like, what if we just all got together and did our makeup or something? Or if we all got together and talked about like how the way that we do our makeup now is different now that we've grown into somebody who like loves myself. It's like the way that I used to do my eyebrows when I was like 18 is completely different. And like when I thought I needed a nose job, it's like completely different from the way that I present myself to the world now in that way. And so I think I just wanted to have more fun and like realizing that these two parts of me want the same thing. Like they both want the same thing. They're not two different ends of the spectrum. The way that you present yourself to the world, like the things that you create, the art that you make, the design, and like the inner child, everything that they want to do is affected by your inner journey and like everything that you've learned about yourself and the dark nights of the soul and all of that. And I'm really just coming up with different ways, especially through my content and like I said, one-to-one work now, where I'm able to do both. Like we can talk about how you see yourself in the world, and we can talk about what you want to create in the world, and they're not opposites. Like, you know, they're pretty much the same thing, just different modules, different methods.
Yeah, I love this idea of unifying the polarities within
Mm-hmm.
someone, right? Unifying
Yeah.
the different parts of creating this like harmonious balance, because it isn't necessarily like one thing that we have to identify with, but how do we welcome all sides of ourselves, whether it may look like a fragmented piece or just like owning that. Right? That all parts are welcome, and it doesn't mean that we identify with more than the other. And so I feel like that's such a lifelong skill to like, and how it shows up is just so different in the day to day. And so as you're starting to dive into more of your one-on-one work, do you see any of your parts come out that you have to communicate, to tend to? Yeah. Because it's different, that shift, right? Of like, okay, I wanted this. Were there any like surprises for you?
You know what? I want to say not really. And I think because I've done one-on-one work before, like I've done brand strategy and I was working one-on-one with like small business owners and specifically women, and I've done makeup. So that's a very personal, intimate one-on-one thing. Sex work, very personal one-on-one thing. So like I think it was really just about me getting back to that part of myself that like I said, I went through this like spiritual journey and I hid myself away from the world a little bit, like wanted to hide behind this course and like I get to just record it once and then that's it. Like y'all do with it what you want to. And then I had to just reawaken that part of me that wants to be a part of the world, that wanted to connect with people
Wow.
one-on-one again. So it's like it just feels like home. Really, it does. Like to be able to just talk to people one-on-one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like in a way of honoring your cycles and attuning
Yes.
to your body
Hmm.
because it's like maybe there is that time where you just want to be passive and you don't want to be
Hmm.
as like out there fully in front of people. So it's okay. So you
Hmm.
can create a passive course and they can just
Yes.
do what they want. You don't have to like
Yeah.
time and value and all of that. And then now you're like, nope, I'm feeling like summer. I want to be
Yeah.
outwardly expressive. Like
Yeah.
here I am.
Exactly. That's exactly it. Yeah. Cycles in life. And then as somebody who identifies as a woman, like we go through those cycles every month. It's
I
just,
know.
so it's like we have 4 seasons every month again, or I'll speak for myself as a menstruated woman, have 4 cycles every month. And then you've got the larger cycles of the grand scheme of your life. And so that's really all life is just endings and beginnings and just cycles of change, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, what stage are you in right now for yourself personally? Like, what kind
Ooh.
of archetype are you embodying?
Ooh. Ooh, I like that. Okay, I haven't thought about that. I would say my because the two biggest stars this year. Actually, you know what? That's it. That's it. I said the word star. It's the prima donna for me. I think that's it
Mm,
because the I was fighting between the artist and the CEO, and I feel like when you're the prima donna that is the main character of your own life, you get to be whoever the hell you want. Like you get to be both of them. You get to do the things that make you happy and not really worry about disappointing other people. I think
mm,
Marie Forleo, somebody that I follow, she's amazing online. She said,
yeah.
like, when you have the choice between disappointing yourself or disappointing other people, always choose the other people. And I think, again, a big part of that is really just accountability and being able to say or reach out to my email list and say, hey, I know that this didn't go exactly the way that we thought it would, or that it didn't have the longevity that I hoped it would. And at the same time, like, how can I serve you still, offering them something in
Mm.
return? And yeah, the prima donna, I think that's the archetype that I want to claim because I just feel really lit up about my life again. I feel important in my own life again and not like just in my business. Because again, as a generator, I think that's something that I identified with so heavily was just like I was built to work. So I need to always be working, always be doing this. And if I'm not working on my business, then I'm worthless and I don't I don't have any use or anything like that. And I had to just realize that I'm perfect as is, that I'm worthy just by existing, and I get to do whatever it is that I want to do now. And so it's just an everyday process of reminding myself that I am the star of my life. And that's what we're doing now.
And it's so interesting because as you are like on the journey of being a solopreneur, like
Hmm.
it's very much the identity of your business and yourself bleed together
Yes.
because you
Right.
like work on it so much. It's all
Hmm.
you do. It's
Hmm.
like when you're not like quote unquote working in the business, you're working on the business, whether it's like
Yes.
outside time, meeting with people.
Yeah,
It's a lot. It's
it
so
is.
much. And so
Yeah.
as like you embody this prima donna archetype of, you know, being the star of your life, not just like the
Hmm.
star of your own like business life.
Hmm.
Like, what does that mean to you to like tap into your passions,
Hmm.
to keep on igniting that fire for you to show up in this
Yeah.
way?
Yeah. One of the most important things is first of all, like having interests outside of work. Because like before, literally my entire life was consumed with my business and how good it was doing or how good it wasn't doing. Like I said, going through my Saturn return now. So I'm at the point in my life where am I exactly where I want to be? Am I where I thought I would be? And then realizing this year, like what I really wanted out of my life was like fun, freedom, flexibility, and of course, like fruition. Like, yeah, I want the finances and things to come true, but that's not the main thing. Like I want to feel free. I want to feel like I'm having fun on a daily basis. And I
Mm,
want that flexibility. Whereas if I wake up one day, I can say, I want to write an editorial, or I want to shoot a video, or I want to hop on a call with somebody, that I can do that. And so outside of work, it's about realizing that I wasn't allowing myself to have fun outside of work. Like I wasn't, again, I was hiding away from life. I'm off the dating scene. So I wasn't dating. I don't have a lot of relationships outside of like families and very close friends. And so I just started realizing I want to make candles. I want to play with
Oh,
clay and
yeah.
like paint. Yeah. So like just picking up all of these different things that I've always wanted to do, but couldn't find the time to do because I was so focused on this business, and because that was a huge chunk of my identity. If your business isn't a
Right.
success, then you are a failure if that's not happening. And so now I'm just, no, if I want to paint today, I'm going to paint. If I want to make a candle and it do absolutely nothing with it, but have it in my space. Like, so I think that's the sneaky part of me, like the CEO, like everything I do that I find fun in. She's okay, is this a business? Can we do this? And I'm like, no. Yeah, no,
Oh,
I just want to make the candle. I don't want to sell candles right now. I just want to make the candle. That's it.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's so interesting because I feel like that's something inherent that every single entrepreneur has of how
Mhm.
can I monetize this?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And then like
Like,
if you're not monetizing it, then why are you doing it? Because it just brings me joy. It just makes me happy. It just feels good. Yeah.
yeah, it's almost
Yeah.
like how can we monetize joy and pleasure? Like our
Yes.
own.
Yes. I love it. I love it so much. Yeah.
Yeah, but I
Oh my
love
God.
it's so interesting because I was talking about that with someone today of like how I was always trying to like think of how to monetize stuff. And I think it's so important
Mhm.
when it's the beginning of your journey. It's obviously if you like take a leap, you want to make
Yes.
sure that it can financially support you and be
Right.
successful. But also at the same time, it's like you being able to tap into the joy, the pleasure,
Mhm.
creativity that your inner child, your inner artist wants actually
Yeah.
feeds the soul of your business because it
Yes.
promotes like innovation and like
Yes.
in a way that you wouldn't be able to do if you were like so stagnant in some like rigidity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, it's when you, I think like when they say like the manifestation community, when they're like, set your intention and then forget about it, go do something else. It's
Yeah.
just like that. Have the intention for the successful business and have that be your goal and everything, but then busy yourself in the day to day with just what feels good. And then eventually the two ends will meet and you'll find that the things that made you feel good, you showed up better in the world because you were feeling good, because your cup was so full, you were able to give to other people and they were able to receive. And now look, you're making money off of what feels good to you. I like that.
It's just like your
Yeah.
energy that you put forth.
Mhm.
And so you must have had to do a lot of work to push and transcend that belief of a generator is a worker
Mhm.
and you
Mhm.
always have to constantly work and that's the purpose you have in
Yes.
life. And so I love that you're like diving into things that are just like I
Yeah.
want to do candle making,
Yeah.
want to do
Yeah.
clay, play with clay. That's all
Yeah.
good.
Parts and pieces. And then I'm also a six life path. So that's what I had to remember too. I'm like, but work doesn't have to equal career. I think it's because we live in a capitalist society, all automatically equate generator work equals career. But my day-to-day work is, like I said, as an aunt, it's tending to my family, nurturing the people that I care about. That's a part of work. There are stay-at-home moms around the world doing that, and you're not going to tell them that they're not working just because they don't have a business, right? It's
Right.
work. It's just like different ways that work can show up. So yeah, it's really detaching my identity from that. Also, the human design system is a little bit dogmatic for me. It's very strict, and you got to do this and that, or you're not living right. I don't like
Mm-hmm.
that. So it feels really fun to stretch that a little bit and say, okay, what is work to me? What else? What other parts of me want to express themselves? The glamour girl that just wants to do my makeup today or wants to play with my niece. Like all of these things are me still living in my purpose, because the ultimate purpose is just to become who the hell I am. Like it's just, the purpose is to become who you were sent here to be. And a part of that is just forgetting everything else that you were told.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so as you go along this journey of accepting what comes
Mhm.
up for you, accepting the different parts of you that want to show up in like different seasons and cycles of your life,
Yeah.
what does the self coaching look like for you?
Oh, it's so I think what I'm working on right now is being my biggest cheerleader. So again, if we talk about like parts and pieces and stuff, like everybody, I think at this point, if you've been doing spiritual work, about your inner critic, like we all know about the inner
Yeah.
critic. And so I think for me, yeah, it's about to coach myself. It's about allowing that inner cheerleader to come to the forefront and to have a little bit more say than the critic does.
Mhm.
Again, I have Virgo placements, so I'm like very critical, and that's like of myself and the world in general. But I think really just when I have those moments where I either feel fear or I'm realizing that like I'm doing something that maybe I didn't plan for, I allow the wiser part of me that says, okay, again, just zooming out a little bit, like detaching from like how you feel in the moment. You're feeling fear, let that course through your body and everything. But in the grand scheme of things, are we still going in the direction that we want to be going in? Am I still doing what I said that I was going to do? And am I still going in the direction of what I committed to? And another quote, I think somebody said, like, the only two people that you have to please in your life are a 5-year-old you and 85-year-old you, right? So
Oh
like,
my
yeah,
God, that's genius. I
yeah.
love it.
So it's like that idea of like just keeping things as super simple as possible. Cause I think that's when like my mind starts to get a little bit crazy, is when I try to make things so complex, because again, like dealing with wounds to my worth and that, and just realizing that I don't have to like pile on a million things on my to-do list in order to feel worthy, in order to feel good. I just like to keep things simple. Is 5-year-old me happy? Would 85-year-old me be proud? And if that's the case, then we're just going to do it. And then I just like to deal with whatever issues come up as we go along.
It
Yeah.
sounds like you've done so much work on worthiness.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's like the
Worthiness,
biggest one.
yeah,
Yeah.
like worthiness in terms and through the lens of like societal
Mhm.
worthiness, what they deem as worthiness versus what you
Yeah.
feel is
Yeah.
worthy versus like human design versus
Yes.
astrology versus
Yeah.
5-year-old versus 85
Right.
year old
Yeah.
Shaleahia. Like,
And actually, it reminds me of when I did the EFT session with you, and
yeah,
you,
uh-huh.
yeah, and you walked me through. Actually, this was literally for that course that I was talking about. I was having a lot of like internal conflict and just, what do I do? How do I do this? Do I continue and all that? And so I had booked the session with you. And then I remember we were just talking about what was going on. And then I think like the affirmations that you were walking me through were about, it's so hard for me to know what to do. The entire world is telling me what to do. And when you said that, it just clicked in my head, because I didn't even realize that's what I was doing at the time. I just thought, no, I have this idea that I'm working on and I really love the idea. And so I'm building it, but I'm just having trouble building it. But I guess like you just listening to what I was saying, and then you're like, the way that you translated that into, it's hard to know what to do. The world was telling me what to do, or it's hard to know like the right thing. And then like with my Virgo tendencies, like that's what I want to do. And that's been like the most healing thing for my inner child in particular, is like giving myself permission to F up. Because like my entire life, like my childhood, I didn't feel worthy if I wasn't performing perfectly. If I wasn't doing exactly, if I wasn't being the kid at school that I thought like my parent wanted me to be, my mom, it was just me and my mom, and my sisters. But if I wasn't doing the things that made me feel worthy of love and made me feel like accepting of approval, then I wasn't good enough. And so this year was really just like allowing myself to say, actually, yes, that was a fuck up. Like we messed that one up. Yeah. And also you're still okay. It's still fine. Like you don't have to perform at the same level all the time. You're doing your best every day is gonna look different every day. Like your best is different.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love this. I feel like
Yeah.
just speaking to you, you really embody compassion and grace and acceptance.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. That's yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. Now I was gonna say,
yeah.
I'm reading now, when I'm reading about the internal family systems, I get like compassion is one of those words that triggers me a little bit.
Oh.
And I don't even know why. I think I read about it, and I think just other people's ideas maybe of compassion don't really sit with me as well as I would
Mm.
probably want them to. So just to hear you say that felt really just self-affirming, and that felt really good. So thank you.
Yeah, because the
Yeah.
reason why I use that word compassion as I'm like
Mhm.
sitting and chatting with you
Yeah.
is just someone that has, like, the way I define it is just someone
Mhm.
that has so much love.
Oh,
How like however they
yeah.
show up. It's almost
Yeah.
like the other side of the coin of like unconditional love.
Yes. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so it's not conditional on any type of like performative
Yeah.
perfectionism, like at
Yeah.
all. And so I
Yeah.
just really felt that as you were just speaking and sharing your experience.
Thank you. Yeah, I really appreciate that. Yeah, it's a work in progress. I'm a work in progress, but I really am proud of where I am now. I think I even was reading a journal entry before. It's going a little bit off topic, but it's just reminding me. I was reading like my older journal entries, and this is why I say it's so important to journal or to take pictures, whatever you do, just to create some sort of like record of your life and your existence. But I was
Mm.
looking at journal entries from like 2018, 2019, where I'm just like afraid to script, like the manifesting practice, scripting. I was It's like the craziest thing. I'm like so afraid to script because I'm like, what if what I want actually comes true? What if it happens? What if this? What if that? And I just had all of these fears coming up that were stopping me from even being able to do the things that I wanted to do to get to the place. And it feels really different, I think, to be in a place where knowing that even if I do have a fear, that I'm okay because I got me,
Mhm.
I got my back, I have myself, I have my source, and that's really all I need in life. So I thank you again for recognizing that and just again pulling it out. That's what you do. That's what you do with the EFT session. It's like you just the way that you just summarize the energy that I was living in, but not really giving myself permission to say this is what it is. Really.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
almost like seeing you in a different light,
Hmm.
right? Because it's
Yeah.
so easy to see ourselves through the lens that we see ourselves. But when others see something else, it's just, oh, wow, they have a little
Yeah.
spotlight. It's
Yeah.
different. It's like highlight around
Yeah.
your cheekbones. Like, oh,
Exactly. It's really cool. And it's really cool. And I think that's the beauty of just one-to-one connection, human connection, where it's just I can stay in my head all day. I can coach myself all day. And again, that's really important because you are your number one when it comes to anything in life, changing your life. And also it's like good to just step out of the shadow work a little bit and just like connect with the world and relate with people as the new you. Take that person that you've been working so hard to become and no longer hiding it and allowing other people to see you, allowing yourself to be seen and heard.
exactly. And you mentioned, I'd never heard of script work in manifestation. What is
Oh,
that? Yeah.
yeah. Scripting. Okay, so yeah, so scripting is it's basically it's just when you it's journal, but from the perspective of the person, the future version of you who's already accomplished what you've already accomplished.
Oh,
So like,
gotcha.
yes, you if you're manifesting a house, then you would just be talking about you waking up in that house and like what around you, what it looks like, and all
Hmm.
of that. Yeah, and I was like literally terrified. I'm like, afraid of my own power. Like, how do I do this? Why? It was a lot. Just like, why do I want to do this? What if it happens? What does that look like? And yeah, just
There's
getting.
always that period too, like when you're about to manifest
Mhm.
something of this feeling of, am I worthy of actually getting what I
Mhm.
want? And so it's like almost, is this the moment where self sabotage will creep in, or
Yes.
will you be able to transcend and be like, no, I'm
Yes.
fucking worthy, and
Yes.
I like it's yeah, it's like that magic period right there.
It
Yeah.
is. It is. It's so crazy. Yeah, it is. It's like that. It's always what is it? It's like darkest before dawn. It's like really
Yes.
right before you have like that epiphany or that transition. It's like when shit gets the hardest, and then you really do just have to make a decision about who you are. Because I think a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about has been like identity, basically at its core. It's like identity work, energy, creative direction, all of that. And so it's like literally just deciding on a day-to-day basis who it is that you are and then what that person would do in the situation and then just doing it, literally
I
doing it.
love that. It's like taking
Yeah.
your power back in the most
Yes.
simplest way. Because right
Exactly.
now, I feel like there are so many different ways and tools of how to do
Hmm.
that. But really, it's just the self decision.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
That's
I'm going
it.
to be that.
Yeah.
There's
And
embodiment for you. No.
no, yeah, it is. And I heard again, like another a quote from this guy online. He's like a brand strategist extraordinaire. His name is Chris Doe. And he said like the reason why people have such a hard time with deciding and making decisions is because the root of decide is side, which means to kill. So it's like you have to
Mhm.
kill off all of those other possibilities, all of those other versions of you that could have been when you truly decide who it is that you want to be and what you're doing. So like past
Mm.
versions of you, all of those fears, you genuinely have to make a decision to kill your darlings, like to let them go. And I think also I guess like in the vein of compassion and grace is realizing why those things or those parts of you exist to begin with, because it's like they want to keep you safe or they got you to where you are now.
Exactly.
And yeah, and also at the same time, in order for you to shift into the next stage, the next level, or like the next scene of your life, they no longer need to come with you. Like you can let them go.
Right. It's almost
Yeah.
like like two pronged. They're
Hmm.
protecting you,
Hmm.
right? But they're
Hmm.
also protecting themselves. Oh shit,
Yes.
she's not gonna need me anymore.
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
won't exist anymore.
That's
You
yeah, that's
know?
exactly it.
Yeah.
It's like the helicopter parent or something, like the parent that smothers you is I just love you. I just want to protect you and keep you safe. But also like you're stopping me from growing at the same time. Yeah, it's exactly it.
Yeah. Oh my
Yeah.
God. This is I feel like there's so many things that we've talked through and
Yeah.
talked about.
Yeah.
What are the current offerings that you have right now for people? Like, what
Ooh.
does one-on-one look like?
Yeah, so I have this new container. It's called the Innovation. So you think renovation and innovation, but together.
Ooh.
And again, I think because I have like roots in interior design, like that's my inner child. She's an interior designer and everything. So it's called the Innovation. And what we do is we work on the creative direction and the identity shift, as well as the energetic resonance and recalibration to your highest ideal self. It's a
Mhm.
90-minute session, and we go through three inner archetypes: the artist, the alchemist, and the architect. And through them, we help to really create a plan and a strategy for your ideal life and what that looks like. And then after that, you get this framework called Blueprints for Bliss, which is basically taking you through 6 weeks of how to coach yourself through change and how to like, because there's we can make massive changes and transformations in terms of aligning you to that vision when in the 90-minute session. But after that session is over, what do you do? So the framework,
Exactly.
yeah, is really about helping you coach yourself, care for yourself, and really create your ideal self for 6 weeks
Wow.
after. And yeah, I'm booking for that now, and that's my one solo offering that I'm focusing on, because that is also something new for me, is just like allowing myself to say like, this is the one thing, this is good enough, this is my offering to the world,
Mhm.
and it's perfect as it is, and I'm sticking to that, and I believe in that. So that's the one way to work with me right now.
Wow, that's amazing. And so when they
Yeah.
have so do they work with you continuously for the 6 weeks of helping them follow that blueprint and like self-coaching and also like working with you and coaching one-on-one?
They have that option. The main goal is for really to help them embody sovereignty and really help them to make
Mm,
that change on their own. So again, my talent of holding space for the transformation to occur, that's where we work together one on one. And then the 6 weeks is really meant to be completed solo on their own. But if they do feel like they need that extra support, then that's something that we can talk about then afterwards. Yeah.
oh, wow. And so what made you decide to only focus on one offering?
Because again, I think the way that I came up with it the other day is simplicity serves me well. Simplicity serves me well, and specifically when I talk about like wellness and how to keep
Mm,
myself balanced and grounded and centered in myself. When things get complex, when I am like putting my energy in five different buckets, is when I don't feel it's like there's like the dichotomy of I'm doing the most, but I also don't feel like I'm doing enough at the same time. And so
oh,
I think
uh-huh.
really allowing myself to just focus on this one thing opened up the door for me to say, okay, how can I make this one thing the coolest, most fun, most transformational thing that I
Yeah.
could possibly make it, instead of trying to put that in five different offerings? Like, how can I make this one really good and then feel,
Right.
yeah.
Oh my gosh. I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. And
Yeah.
as you continue to share your work and tap
Mhm.
into your own creativity and all of that stuff and magic,
Yeah.
what sort of spiritual practices do you have today?
Ooh, spiritual. So again, I'm real simple. So journaling is my number one. I'm always journaling. And then prayer, really. Journaling and prayer and creativity in itself for me is like a
Mm,
dojo for spirituality. It's like the place that I go. I don't meditate really, like the cross-legged, that type of meditation, but I do a lot of like active meditation. So like reading, painting, that type of stuff. So anything that allows me to get lost. And I think that the Buddhists call it like losing yourself or becoming no one, like that. So anything
mhm.
that really just allows me to detach from the identity and just be in the present moment is really good. So journaling, writing, scripting, I'm scripting. And of
Yeah.
course, I love tarot cards and astrology, and like all of the witchy stuff is really fun for me too. Yeah, I use,
Amazing. So what are
yeah.
you scripting right now? Or I don't know, are you allowed to
Ooh.
share it
Yeah.
or
I was like, I have a mini moment of panic. I'm like, wait, no.
or
A
maybe
mini
something
moment.
in the past that you
Right.
scripted that came true. You could share that.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So yeah, in the vein of scripting, and then also I think I'll just tie it up with the framework that I was talking about. It's called space. And so that was my main goal for this year, is to like take up more space, and both feel a sense of spaciousness inside, but then also take up more space in the actual physical world. And
Mm.
so it's an acronym because I love acronyms, and it stands for spirituality, personality, aesthetics, creativity, and environment.
Ooh.
And so using all of those things together, speaking of environment and aesthetics, like my closet is the financial area of my room in feng shui. And so once I learned that, I'm like, of course, I'm like, I got to get in there and clean it and make things real nice and tidy. But in general, like scripting and like setting the intention for it. And then again, just getting lost. One day I just went in my closet and I was just admiring all of the clothes that I have in there and just like feeling all like girly and like playing dress up and stuff like that. And then I got a call on the phone from a matriarch in my family, and she's just, "Hey, I was thinking about you today, and I wanted to know like how you're doing, blah blah blah." And then that call ended with her like investing in my business, like giving me the money that I needed to create the course and launch all the things. And I'm literally because I just like I scripted it, I wrote about it, and then I forgot about it. Went to go play dress up in my closet, and then she calls me on the phone, and it's just literally, and the amount she offered me the exact amount of money that I had in my mind, but I never said it.
God.
Literally, I never said it out loud to anybody but God and myself. And she said, like, how would this be?
Yeah.
And then I was like, yeah, that's perfect. Actually, that's great. Yeah, that's what we did. I think, yeah, just like using all of the like witchy tools and then also like making them real and integrated in my life, like through my space, through my environment, and like my
Mm.
clothes, the way I dress myself, and just feeling good. That's what I've been into lately.
Oh my God, I love that. I love that
Yeah.
so much for you.
Yeah.
And so, how can people find you?
Ooh, so I have again sticking to the one. They can find me on Substack, shaleah.substack.com. I write a publication called Uncultured Swine, and it goes back to the roots of what we were talking about earlier about living an unconventional and uncompromisingly charmed life. Uncultured Swine is literally about decondition yourself from what society and culture has taught you to be. And so I
Mm.
write really juicy articles on there, and you can just sign up, and that way you're added to my email list, and we get to stay in touch through my content too.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, I love
Yeah.
this. I love this. And maybe you've already answered this question a
Mhm.
little bit, but there's something I always ask each of my guests towards the end, and it
Yeah.
is, what are you doing to fill your own self-love cup and connect to the little you?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's definitely creativity. I'm
Yeah.
allowing that part of me to have more fun, to see what it is that I want to make on a daily basis, and then giving myself permission to make it and to be satisfied with it. 'Cause we generated, that's our signature. And so allowing myself to be satisfied with whatever it is that I do, as long as I did it, then I feel really good and full and happy.
Oh,
Mhm.
amazing. This was so good. I felt
Yeah.
like as you were speaking, I think it was like the words that I could say that would sum up this episode is obviously like identity,
Hmm.
rebirth, and
Yeah.
then death,
Yeah. Yeah.
compassion and grace and acceptance, but also magician.
Ooh, yeah,
I
magician.
don't
That's
know. Yeah, I don't
perfect.
know if you resonate with that archetype, but that is
Yeah,
something that I've really been resonating with since the new
yeah.
year of 2023. And I feel
Mhm.
as you like share your stories, I can elicit and see just like the magic that
Yeah.
surrounds you. And it's almost tapping into that creatrix, right?
Yes. Yes.
And
Yeah.
being able to, I felt like we talked a lot about duality and polarity.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
so thinking about like the spiritual realm and the material realm, being able
Yeah.
to bridge that connection
Mhm.
through
It's the
your work and
magician.
like the
Yeah.
different parts of what you desire as well.
Hell yeah, yep. The magician as above, so below. Yeah, like the tarot card is popping up in my head right now. That's
Yeah.
literally, yeah, that's literally what it is. Yeah. I love
Oh
that.
my God. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. This
Yes.
was so much
Thank you for
fun.
having me. I'm
Of
so happy. This was
course.
good. Yeah. This was a good
Amazing.
chat.
Amazing. And thank you so much all for listening. I will catch you on the next episode. And if you love this, I would appreciate it if you would share it, leave a review on Apple Podcasts, and I will tune in and catch you all later. Bye, everybody.
Oh, so good.